Look how cool this is. There's so many wildebeest just popping out of the middle of nowhere, which is quite amazing. I mean, we've been seeing 20 or 30 here and there, but there must be about, I don't know, 150 wildebeest here, which is quite nice to see. Maybe even 200 or so. They're still coming. Big group. But the wind is howling along the edge of the river. I mean, you can hear it clearly, and you can actually just tell by the way that the beards of the gadoos is blowing at the moment. That's also a good windsock. And they've changed direction about 10 times since we've been here. We've only arrived 30 seconds ago. They don't know which way they're going, but that is so cool to see. Now they're running. Someone said, right, let's go, pick up the pace. Maybe they're all for an evening jog. I don't know. But there's just so many of them. Audio boots, I think audio boots, maybe? Sorry, the comms broke up there. Anyways, you were wondering about the differences between, what did you say, water buffalo and wildebeest. Well, we don't get water buffalo. We've got Oreo, not audio or whatever else I tried to say there. Sorry about that. So we don't actually get water buffalo. We have the African buffalo or the Cape buffalo, but a lot of people do get confused and often say that. Well, I would probably say that the wildebeest, the more slender version, is maybe a swimsuit model, and then the buffalo, well, they're probably plus size models with their size. I'm just teasing. There's quite a few differences, in fact. Firstly, size. African buffalo and even water buffalo weigh a whole lot more than the wildebeest, so that would be a big one. And just the way that they look, I mean, with African buffalo, they've got a massive boss on their head, so their horns, and particularly with the males, their horns are fused. Which is quite cool. Whereas when you look at the wildebeest, and particularly the western white-bearded wildebeest, which is what we're looking at the moment, their horns look like they're too small for their heads. It looks like they're just sitting on top. They chose the wrong size hat. And then if buffalo don't have a big beard, buffalo do have a dewlap though. Some of the bigger boys, the females don't get dewlap, so it's just for the males. So they lack that. And then buffalo don't have as crazy of a mane and sort of horse-like tail, like well, yes, you get what I was trying to say there. I can actually not even hear the sound of my own voice right now. That's how the wind is gusting. We are sitting in a channel. Look, they've all just started running now. I wonder if they're just trying to catch up to the rest of the group. Come on, I almost called them buffalo. Come on, wildebeest, hurry up. I wish we could count them. It would take me a while if I had to sit and count them. Maybe there's even more than 200. It's a rather large group on their way. I don't know where that wind has just come from. It was incredible. It happened within a couple of seconds. It just arrived. Now, Jamie, you're wondering where are these wildebeest going? The answer to that is nobody knows wherever the wildebeest want to go to find more green grass. There's not really any green grass in this section, so I think if they go a little bit further east or maybe a bit further north where we've come from, they'll find some green grazing. They look like they've just come from relatively green grass, but they move around constantly. They're great. Wild animals are really, really good at constantly changing it up and moving into new areas and not overgrazing an area. I suppose overgrazing happens with wild animals when they've got nowhere else to go, but there's definitely no shortage of space, so they'll just go wherever. And we're actually lucky. This is the only gap of golden light that we're going to get this afternoon. It is pretty miserable. There's a tiny gap in the clouds, and we're just getting it. There's a little patch where the wildebeest is sort of illuminated now, which is quite pretty. But that's going to go very quickly. We're not going to have golden hours now. We have golden 30 seconds. I wonder what drives them to walk in a line like this, one behind the other. But they're not making too much noise. Normally whenever we see the wildebeest, you hear them before you see them. This will be a great spot for a leopard to pop up now, or a pride of lions. But sadly, I don't see either. Or even a cheetah, a big group of hyenas would be quite nice. Here comes the next one. But not going anywhere in a hurry though, just taking their time And I suppose that's what wildebeest do best. All the animals, they don't need to race off. They've got no meetings to attend like us. We live such a busy, rushed life. I think we need to learn from the animals. We learn lots from the animals, and taking every day as it comes and not trying to jump to too many conclusions is something that we should all learn to do. And we just put one foot in front of the other. Right, we're going to leave these wildebeest and carry on towards the Talek gate, although it's not particularly far. I can just see it on the horizon. Let's jump back on board into Tristina's car.
Well, once again we've come towards Chitwa Dam, and we were sitting, and all of a sudden the impala started to alarm call again. So I'm just looking around trying to see what's going on. Apparently Hosanna's on Little Gowrie, so I don't know who it could be. Maybe Tumba's here somewhere, or Kachava, I don't know. But the impalas, which are just walking away from me now, we're staring in this general vicinity and just having a little sort of snort, and they don't seem to be too perturbed, but they were definitely making a bit of noise. I wonder if maybe they just can pick up the scent of a leopard in this area from this morning, because I know Hosanna was found in this area this morning. He was obviously here last night. Tumba was here the time before, or the 2 days before that, and so maybe there's just a little scent wafting on the breeze, and that's why they're alarm calling. But I just want to double check all the shady spots and just check. You never know with this area. It seems to be a little leopard hot zone, and so I'm just going to double check quickly to see if there isn't any sign here. It sounded like they weren't too stressed, and they seem to be kind of walking away into the shade. They're not really kind of heavily snorting or carrying on and going crazy, so it seems as though I think everything is fairly kind of sedate and sedentary. I don't think there's really kind of much going on. But let's just double check inside this little kind of riverbed system here. No, nothing that I can see inside here. So no little tumba lurking in his little drainage line. So I'm not 100% sure why these impalas are alarm calling. I'll keep having a little look around, and while I do that, let's go back to Scotty D, who it sounds like has a beautiful, beautiful silhouette against the golden Mara sun. And if there's one thing that Mara is great with, it's sunsets.
Welcome back. As you can see, we no longer have a leopard, but we have another beautiful scene, at least I think so, of this eland silhouetted with some dramatic clouds in the background off to the west. Beautiful. It's been a while since we had a good silhouetted shot. So I enjoyed that, but now it's heading into the doom and gloom of the cloud. So not providing us with much of a shot. What we are going to do is head onto the other side of that little riverbed where we did see the leopard. It seemed to have crossed over. It could easily have crossed back onto the side we were on by the time we get there, but it is certainly worth a try. So those are our plans. Let's hope Tristan has some luck with those alarm calls. That's another thing I really miss from the Sabi Sands, which I haven't really spoken about or realized so much. So here we very, very seldom actually get to respond to alarm calls or actually use our brains to find animals. They're usually just sitting out in the open, and it's quite easy business finding animals here. Whereas in the sands you have to work a lot harder, and one of the most exciting things is while you stop and looking at a bird or an elephant or anything for that matter, and you hear the alarm calls ringing out, and you drop the clutch to try and get there as quickly as possible. I'd be surprised if you managed to join us through that riverbed. You still there? Maybe? Maybe not. Anyway, we'll pretend you are. I hope you did follow us through, but it's quite a low-lying area, so I don't think it would have happened. The fact that the radio is not working very well means that Kirsty wouldn't have been able to tell me if you lost our picture. Which I'm guessing has happened. Ah, you are still with us. It's a miracle. Very good. So it's just about 100 or 200 meters until we get back to where that leopard was, and I can see a few vehicles already doing their business there. So we may get lucky and get another glimpse. Taylor's enjoying her safari. I tried to give her directions to an area where she hadn't spent too much time, to go through a crossing that she hadn't been through, so I hope that's all gone well. It's a beautiful area of the reserve where she's working, and also quite productive. Initially, we actually spent the majority of our time with the Musketeer coalitions out there, just south of the Talek River, which is to the north of us. And we very often had to crisscross through that riverbed in designated cross. Remember the first Graham, who's our big boss, was checking our positions on Google Earth, and he found on Google Earth, which is only so clear, a possible crossing point that he directed me to. And because it was the boss that suggested we go for it, had we have floated down the river and sunk the car, would have been able to blame it on him. So we did quite a gnarly crossing through quite a high Talek River at that point. We had no idea how deep it was. There was no ways we were going to check how deep it was because it was dark and there's crocodiles in that river. So there's no ways we were going to walk across it. So we just gunned it, Jandra and myself. And once we got across the rivery section, it was steep. And we actually got caught on a ledge, like just on the top, and almost didn't make it out, but thankfully, with a bit of maneuvering, we made it. It was a highlight. Okay. I think we are back in the general area of where this leopard was. We just need to work out where exactly. Hello, Riti. You would like to know why is one portion of this reserve called the Mara Triangle? And that's because it's a triangular shape. Basically, my left arm is the Olololo Escarpment. My right arm is the Mara River. And where this arm would be if I had three arms would be the Tanzanian border. So to the north it gets to a very thin little wedge, and further south towards the Tanzanian border it opens out. So it's triangular in shape. I wonder if the leopard hasn't crossed back onto the other side of the lugger. It is possible. Let's just keep creeping forward here and see if she doesn't grace us with her presence once more. It is very, very thick, so it is going to be tricky. It's not as easy maneuvering in our limousines as it is for Tristan. He's got a convertible, short wheelbase, whereas ours is quite a lot longer than his. Looking forward to getting back into those little cars, the Djuma ones, old Rusty and Jigger and Wendy. Here we go. We got lucky. She's just popped out right next to us. And I just wanted to stop the car as soon as I saw her, because I thought she may have been stalking something, but I think she was just, I thought she may have been, but she had just run herself up a small embankment. Wonderful. Now that I realize that she's all calm and okay and not hunting, let me just reposition slightly. It is so good to be with the leopard again. She's a bit of a pedantic one with regards to hygiene. She's permanently cleaning herself. Hi, Debbie. I'm not copying your question too clearly. It's either do female or male leopards spend time looking for territories in the Mara? And regardless of whether it's male or female, the answer is yes to both. All leopards are territorial all over Africa and India, where you also get them. So both males and females are territorial. Males will fight with other males for their land, and females will fight with other females for theirs. Sometimes even a daughter will fight with her mother over a territory. The only big cat that will not fight for a territory is a female cheetah. Lion, leopard, and male cheetah are all highly, highly territorial. Let's have a quick look at this Cape turtle dove that's really going for it, calling on this dead tree above the leopard. Because it's a call we so often hear, but very seldom get to show you them calling. Don't fly away. There we go. That's better. Searching frantically for a mate. Doesn't seem like he's having many takers. But we think you're a great singer. Keep at it. We're loving it. I think Liz would like us to try and get a close-up of her spot pattern so you can try and work out, or at least keep records of who she is, which would be very, very kind and helpful of you. So Jahawi now is as tight as he can be, and we will continue to try and get you some good face shots so you can work out who this lady is. I'm not sure if you were on the morning safari, Liz, but I did mention that there's going to be a leopard research project that starts in the Mara as of next year. We actually bumped into the people who are funding it, and they're already funding a cheetah project, so very, very kind people, and obviously conservationists at heart. And it'll be useful if we can already start providing some insights into which leopard is spending time where and have some of our own spot patterns and a bit of knowledge on them. The tricky thing for doing that here, and it's important that all of you realize, we've got about 80 times the size traverse of Djuma, which means there's 80 times more things to think about and more animals, and it makes it therefore a bit more difficult to follow animals as intimately as we can on Djuma. So it will be an undertaking for us to try and work out who all the leopards are. Certainly doable, but it must be said that we have got a massive, massive playground here. And even though we have managed to spend time with individuals like the Musketeer Coalition, it's required a lot of time and effort and long journeys to be able to get into position to spend time with them. And of course, what helps is that they are not as elusive as leopards, and they tend to be out in the open more, which makes finding them a lot easier. The thick areas here are often impenetrable and uncrossable with cars, which gives leopards a great hideout. There we go. So she's clearly got 3 very distinctive spots above her whisker lines on the right-hand side of her face. So that's a good one. So she'll be a 3-something female. Time will tell how big exactly, not how big, how many spots she'll have on the other side of her muzzle. She could well have 3, or 2, or 1, or any number really. Usually not more than 4 or 5 though. Hello, James Richard. You'd like to know if this female leopard is possibly called Luluka, and she could well be. I'm guessing you've done some research again, James, so thanks very much. If you can confirm that it's her, it would be great. I have never heard of a leopard called Luluka, so I'm the wrong person to be asking. And this is literally the first decent leopard sighting I've had in the 4 months that I've been in the Mara. So I don't know of any leopard that spent time in this area that, people know of. There are a few leopard in certain areas that have been named in the Mara over the years, but at the moment I'm not too aware of any, really, and or where they hang out. Happy that we were fortunate enough to have got into a lucky spot where she just popped out of the riverbed right to us, and now she's clearly comfortable and relaxing, which is great, and hopefully she's going to maybe head out and try and do some hunting in the open plains. Leopards out here in the Mara are going to have to be streetwise and often do the unexpected and move off and do some serious open area hunting, which is not typically what they set out to do, but they will definitely make the most of opportunities like that. And imagine how cool it would be to film that with our fancy night vision equipment, leopard hunting out in the open. So that's something to look forward to. For now, though, we are going to send you back to Tristan while this lady makes up her mind as to what she's going to do.
Well, we just saw from a long distance somebody saw an elephant around Chitwa, and we've been looking for it, but it seems as though it's gone into the lodge itself. So that's unfortunately not going to happen for us just yet. We're going to have to wait and see, and try and see if it comes out a little bit later towards the dam. That's at least the idea anyway. Whether or not it works, well, I'm not quite sure, but that's why I'm not still at the dam. I'm now heading back towards the dam to go and have a little time with the hippos and hopefully little baby crocs and all the other wonderful little bits and bobs at Chitwa Dam itself. Now, for those of you who are shadow fans and interested to know
Welcome back. We've got up ahead of her and are hoping that we're going to get some great views of her as she slinks through the bush. However, she appears to have possibly veered off the course I was hoping she was going to take, so it's going to make Jahawi's life a little bit tricky, but he's doing a great job of keeping on her. I think she stopped there because she should have popped out into that little clearing that was there. Let's keep moving. Oh, there she just popped out again. You may have got another glimpse. We are going to need to reposition anyway now, so let's just get that out the way. an idea of where we can get into a good spot. Hopefully she's going to pop up onto this termite mound here. That would be incredible. We'll get some... He's kind of heading towards it, so I feel we could possibly get lucky. It's just in the gap there now, Jar. Beautiful. Hello, Jenny Animation. You'd like to know whether I think leopards are bigger in the Mara than down in Djuma. And no, I don't think that is the case. Again, I've only had very few sightings of leopards, so I don't have much to go by in terms of comparisons. But by the sounds of things, they're much of a muchness, and just like in the sands, you get some big males and some small males, and some big females and some small females. So it all does kind of vary. Even in a set area, you can get fluctuating sizes. But to me, they look quite similar to the Djuma leopards, the few that I've seen. I haven't noticed any major differences. Up in Samburu, where I was before I came back to Safari Live, there the leopards were noticeably smaller. It was really actually funny. The guides would come back and say, we saw a huge male leopard, and they'd show me pictures, and I wouldn't be very impressed, because they certainly were not monsters by regular standards. What are her plans? Where is she going to slink off to next? Let me just have a quick look with my binoculars rather than moving. Oh, well, you guys are absolute legends. You, the viewers. She's in there. We just to the left of this mound. Yeah, if you zoom in there, we'll get some spots. Somehow. Maybe a little bit left of that. I don't know, maybe she's just moved. She was in it. It was very difficult to see her. Let's move forward. And the reason why all of you, the viewers, are legends are because you have confirmed, a number of you, that this is Leluka, who I didn't even know existed. So thank you. And well done. I'm just going to actually go back here, because she might go up onto this mound. Oh, I just parked in a bush, but it's okay. Please go up this termite mound. Judging by the way she's sneaking up here, I think she's going to try and get a good vantage point on top here. And if she does, we are going to get the most awesome views of her making her ascent up. You'll just eventually see her. Come on, go up. No, don't go past it. I think she may go past it, but just be ready. She could come up and poke her head over the top of this mound at any moment. Come on. Are you going to? Come and poke your head over. Huh? Maybe she's just stopped on the other side, giggling to herself. She could still come up, and if she does, it'll be so cool, because they really flatten their head and ears. It doesn't sound like she's going to. She's continuing on past. What is she creeping up on? She's definitely getting quite stalky, and I heard some guinea fowl up ahead there a bit earlier. I'm just going to drive away and try and do a big circle around so as not to chase off whatever she is trying to catch. But she is on the stalk, and now what I need to do is work out how to get you. Yeah, she's stalking guinea fowl. Awesome. How am I going to do this? Ideally, I'm going to get onto the other side of the guinea fowl, which might be tricky. Oh no. I've made a wrong turn. I think what we're going to have to do is actually go back and sit directly behind her and actually approaching her. And they might be approaching a roost, which might be, they might sleep up in these trees, so they might be walking to the base of it before flying up into it. Imagine if we see her catch a guinea fowl. Which I think we might, because she's got such good cover. I've got her. Just need to try and get us a 2-shot of the guinea fowl, which will be possible shortly. Okay. So, it's tricky, it's not ideal, but we are sitting in a good position. Have you got her there, Jar? She's on the right of your frame, slinking through the bushes. Perfect. She's just behind that bush, so if you can just see her tail, she's going to come out into a better spot shortly. And it does appear like the guinea fowl could actually be moving towards her. You'll see them there. There they are, dotted, not too far away. And if they continue to walk towards her, that would be a key. Can get into a good spot and lie in wait and then just pounce on one of them. She may be successful. Now, it is a bit tricky because, of course, we can't see her at the moment, but I'm fairly certain she is still behind this dark green bush. Oh. Tricky thing with leopards hunting is they have an incredible knack of disappearing, especially in quite thick bush like this. But let's just sit tight and see what unfolds here. The guinea fowl have got a perfect way to walk on towards us. Quality out of this. So it appears like they are not coming down this pathway as I hoped they would. They're moving a little bit away, so what we could expect to see is possibly a little bit of movement from her to try and keep close to them as they move off. Beautiful, beautiful birds, the guinea fowls, and their crests here are far, far larger than the crests of the guinea fowls down in South Africa. Happy to hear there's a lot of excitement amongst all of the safari goers joining us, and rightfully so. This is a very, very exciting situation with good prospects. Now the guinea fowl continue to wake their way closer to us. Apologies for the black screen. We are in a low-lying area, and I think we are about to see something absolutely awesome. These guinea fowl are coming into the area where she is, and they've still got some distance to cover. But imagine if we see a leopard pluck a guinea fowl out the sky. It could well happen. Now what's interesting is I could see her with my binoculars a bit earlier, but now I can't. So she may have just flattened herself deeper into the grass as she awaits them to come closer to her. And again, apologies that you cannot see the leopard, but in situations like this we do need to be very, very sensitive. and make sure that... Oh, there. Have you got her there? Zoom in. Have you got her there? Okay, sorry, don't zoom in. I got too excited, but now we can see her. How incredible. She had flattened herself to the ground. I don't know how she managed to make it that far without being seen. It is absolutely incredible. In the open, we're going to get a great idea of how well she can flatten herself to the ground. Oof. Now, there's a fork-tailed drongo, I think. There's some kind of a bird. It sounds like a shrike. I don't think we actually get fork-tailed drongos here, so take that back. But it sounds like one. It could be a magpie shrike. I think that's what it is. And it's not alarming at her. I mean, the guinea fowl don't seem distressed, but I think it could be possibly shouting at this leopard. And it's one of the biggest problems that predators face, is that it's not only the prey that they are trying to hunt that can spot them and give away their position. It's also just random bystanders. It can be a tiny little bird. So she does run the risk of having her cover blown by another animal that's spying on her from above. Well, I'm told that most of you are rooting for Leluka, this beautiful female leopard who you all kindly identified for us, and not so much for the guinea fowl. Same as me. I would like Leluka to have a meal. I'm sorry, guinea fowl. I do love you guys, but, you know, I think the leopard is going to really enjoy snacking on one of you this evening. And it's still got a long way to go, though. I'm the worst in these situations. I get so excited. Oh, she's making a go for it. How on earth did she manage to get so much closer to them without being seen? She just made a charge. Now, I don't know. Oh! Did she get one? Obviously, we didn't see anything, but she may have got one. Ah! If she's got one in her paws now, I'll probably start crying. She might. She had got so close. No, she missed. Sorry, girl. Well, my heart is racing, as I'm sure a lot of yours are as well. That was very exciting. You can now hear the guinea fowl shouting in disgust. Poor old Leluka. No guinea fowl for dinner this evening, but maybe you will be able to find something else. Wasn't that so exciting? She did so incredibly well to just get into a position to pounce on those guinea fowl. Like I said earlier, I thought the only way of getting close to them would be to sit and wait for them to approach her, but she proved me very, very wrong. She is an absolute ninja. Seems like she may have just ninjaed herself through a lugger that we're not going to be able to follow her through, but we might get some great views of her crossing. Ooh. She gone. Apparently she's still just hiding somewhere quite close to us here. Oh, there she comes. Beautiful. Okay, well, I think she's going to possibly spring across this, boink, well done, this river, and we don't have the same capabilities of her, so we're going to try and loop around again and send you back to Tristan while we do that.
Why would...
Well, we're sitting here with the baby crocs. Well, I came to see the baby crocs, and guess who's here? Mother croc is also around. So we've got the mother that is just watching over the babies. The babies are all on the bank. They back where they were yesterday afternoon behind that tree. But mom is here and making sure that her little babies are staying nice and safe, which is really cool news, and it's good to see that she is around. I was saying yesterday that I'm surprised that she's not here. They are actually quite defensive of their little ones, and so what they'll do is, even though they're in the water, they're keeping a close eye out, and if anything comes too close to the area, then they come in and they'll chase them off and try and keep them away and keep their little ones safe. So really cool to see that Vlad, who is obviously a girl, is here and protecting the little ones. Now, before we go and have a look at the little baby ones, there's a bird that's running just on the edge of the water right below us here called a pied wagtail. And I can't remember the last time I actually showed a pied wagtail on screen. So the little pied wagtail is just down below us and is kind of running around on the banks a little bit to the left end. So it's going to come into picture now. There we go. So there's our little pied wagtail, and you can see their tail, the way they get their name is go to the right side. There we go. And so their name comes from the fact that the tail just constantly is wagging and twitching and bouncing up and down, and so that's where they get their name. And then obviously the pied comes from the coloration. Black and white is how they are, and you see how they hawk little insects from the edge of the water. So they walk along like this and they bob their little head and wag their little tail, and as soon as they see something close to the edge of the water, they go darting in and grabbing it. So they really are cool little birds. I love wagtails. They've got a little bit of personality to them. They always look as though they have headphones on and kind of singing a song to themselves and having a bit of a good time with the beat. Now what I want to do is I just want to go forward a little bit, because the wagtail is slowly but surely meandering its way around the edge of the waterhole, and if it does that, then it's going to go towards the little baby crocs, and it's going to be interesting to see what the baby crocs do to the little... Oh, look at this. There's actually a thickney that is hounding the little baby crocs. Look. You see how the thickney's got its wings out and it's displaying to the baby crocs who are watching the thickney. Now there's one little crocodile there. There were all three that I could see earlier. It seems as only just one is left. And I wonder if mom is going to come along and try and protect those little ones and stop these thickneys from going too close, although that one doesn't look at all perturbed by the thickney. But if you wanted to get an idea of size of just how big these crocodiles are, these babies, you can see there that they are still absolutely tiny. They are very, very, very small little things, and so that bird looks ginormous. And the other day I was watching Vlad very close to the thickneys, and Vlad dwarfs those thickneys. So it's amazing the difference between size, and the fact that that little tiny thing will eventually be a 1-ton monster in life if it manages to survive. It's really very cool to see the difference in size between these two. It's not something that is easy to explain without having other animals close by, and the thickneys really do show just how small they are. Now with the thickneys being there, I don't know if the little wagtail is actually going to get close enough. I was thinking if the wagtail went, because it's a little smaller, maybe the crocodile would get a little bit of a bad, or might get a bit interested, but I don't think so. You can see a little blacksmith lapwing that's also arriving, a fairly young blacksmith lapwing. So it just seems as though lots and lots of young birds around this area. There's a few young Egyptian geese that we saw yesterday. Here's a fairly young blacksmith lapwing. You can see it's still got its immature coloration, and then there's a couple of little buffalo weavers building their nest. So how many birds we got in one frame there? 3 different birds and a crocodile, all in one frame, which is very, very cool. So lots of life at Chitwa Dam. There always is. It's such a mecca for all kinds of little creatures. There's a number of dragonflies flying around, and there's the reason why I like coming and spending time here. It's just amazing. As you sit, more and more things just start to appear all around you. So you'll sit here and all of a sudden maybe a waterbuck will come out, or a kudu, or like we've seen the last few afternoons, we've had leopard sightings. There's been little plover chicks. There's always something going on, and so the more you sit here, the more opportunity you give yourself to find little amazing creatures and small little sightings like this, where, you know, it might seem as though it's just a little crocodile on a bank, but the thickneys have come in, and it's just such a magical kind of interaction between two species that we very seldom see. We obviously don't see baby crocodiles at all here. It's very seldom that we put them on camera. And then the thickneys themselves, we don't spend long periods with them. So to watch the interaction between these two little species is very cool. Are you going to go and give that little crocodile a hard time? I actually see the second crocodile on the right there. It's still there, so I don't know where the third one scuttled off to, but 2 of them are still in that area. And you can see the thickney gives it a slightly wider berth. It still knows that it could potentially snap out. Now, of course, a crocodile of that size, I highly doubt will go after that thick knee. I very much doubt there would be any worry whatsoever, but you never know. They will eventually start grabbing birds, and young crocodiles feed a lot of starlings or doves in particular. And if you go into parts of Africa like Chobe, you'll find the crocodiles hunt doves extensively. The quellias, sand grouse, they're all things that come towards the water to drink, and the crocodiles then go after them. Clayton, you say it's amazing how the crocodiles blend in. It is amazing. It's difficult to see them. I mean, the one on the right, if you was just kind of walking past, you would never know that there's a little crocodile there unless it moved. It really takes a lot of focus and a lot of energy to kind of spot them. So it has to be like that, as at the end of the day, when you're a predator, generally you need to be very well camouflaged in order to survive. Now I see we've got a little dove that's joining the party as well. There's the poor lapwing the wagtail was just chased by the lapwing, and there's a little dove as well. So there's lots going on. Kristen, I think, sorry, Kirst, you broke up a bit, but I think I got the gist of the question. Is you were asking when was the last time Chitwa had baby crocs, I think. Is that what it was? Maybe. But the baby crocs at Chitwa are pretty much... is this the first time? No, this is not the first time. I've seen baby crocodiles at Chitwa a few times. I'm not sure if it's the first time we've gotten them on camera. I think it is. I don't know if last summer maybe somebody got them out and about on the banks. So yes, last summer as well they were seen. Oh, we've never seen them. Okay, so this is the first time that we as Safari Live have managed to see baby crocs at Chitwa, but I have seen them before. She used to nest on the other side of the dam wall. So where we were seeing Tamba and Hosanna, that's where she used to nest. It's changed a bit because the dam wall was rebuilt during the drought to try and just stabilize it because it was starting to crack. And so we haven't... She's moved her kind of den site and moved where she nests, or nesting site, not den site, up into this area. But yes, I have seen baby crocs here before. She has had a number of different ones. You find that they often can breed every season, and sometimes she'll have the eggs survive, but if something like a monitor lizard gets in there, that can very often destroy them. Or if she hasn't dug the nest properly and you get an extreme temperature boost or a drop, sometimes that can also affect whether or not she has a lot of offspring actually hatching from the eggs themselves. So this is the first time we as Safari Live have seen them, but I have seen, like I say, them here before, which is very, very cool. They're an amazing little thing to see, and it's going to be fun to watch them growing. I think we're going to have to prepare ourselves that maybe not all of them will survive. At the end of the day, baby crocodiles face a tough challenge in life, and they grow slowly, so it takes a long time for them to grow, and they take a while to kind of get of size that they can defend themselves. And so I don't know if we're going to have a situation where some of them will survive. I don't know if we're going to have a situation where all of them unfortunately won't make it, or if they're going to drift off into other places and we don't see them again. But at least we've got them now, and we're going to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, and hopefully they will stick around in this sort of area. Izzy, you're asking if they'll stick around when they're grown up? Well, I mean, that all depends on what they are, and if they're males or females, and how sort of Vlad and Boris react to them being in this area. So you'll find once they get a little bit bigger, they might get bullied a little bit by the larger crocodiles here, and sometimes you'll even find male crocodiles will eat other crocs, and so they're going to have to be a little bit careful. What we normally see, and what I've seen from the baby crocs in Chitwa in the past, is that as they get older, they then start to distribute out. Particularly in the summer months, they then start to go towards other smaller water holes where potentially maybe it's quieter, there's no sort of competition from these big crocs, and they'll spend time at places like, let's say, Treehouse Dam or Twin Dams or those kind of areas, and slowly but surely they then kind of develop, and only once they get a lot larger can they find themselves a dam like this to spend time. But hopefully these guys will be successful. Hopefully they'll end up populating this dam. It's always surprised me that we've only ever had 2 crocodiles here, and that there's been so few. It's a big enough dam to house a lot more. There's a dam that we see very close to a place called Lower Sabi in the Kruger National Park, and that dam, I would say, is half, maybe even less, of the size of Chitwa, and that dam has hundreds of crocodiles. I've once sat there, and around the banks of that area there was honestly about 120 crocodiles in this tiny little dam, about the size, I would say, of Twin Dams or maybe Buffelshoek Dam. So I'm surprised that we don't see more here. Maybe it's just not enough food availability, I don't know. Anyway, while we kind of go around, I'm going to go check on the little baby hippo now. It seems like Scott Dyson, who's got the golden touch this afternoon. Seems to be finding everything that likes to eat other things, and has found himself another spotty predator to show all of you.
Hello everyone, and we've just looped ahead of Luluka, and a hyena came onto the scene, and I'm not sure now where Luluka has disappeared to. She was somewhere off in that direction where we're looking now, coming towards us, but she could well have done a runner as soon as she caught wind that there was a hyena on the scene, or she could have just hidden herself down and waited for the hyena to move off before she starts moving again. So just give it a moment or two here. Let's see if she doesn't poke her head out. So we can just have a quick scan in there and see if we can't pick her up on the infrared. I'm guessing her retreat would have been into the thick riverbed, where she would easily be able to throw that hyena off her tail. And the reason why she wouldn't want that hyena anywhere near her is not because she's got a kill at the moment, but as soon as she makes one, if there's a hyena following closely behind, it will be stolen immediately. Where has she gone? I'm just going to use my spotlight quickly and see if I can't pick her up with that. No joy. So, I think sadly, that may be the end of that. What a pity. Let's drive back through here. See if we don't have any luck. Well, it's been so wonderful to spend time with the leopard again, especially to be lucky enough to see her stalk up to those guinea fowl. Quite sad we didn't get to see her pounce. That would have been impressive. But that's how it goes sometimes out here. And always better to err on the side of caution and not get in the animal's way and interfere and miss the shot. Plenty of opportunities to get the right shots, but we don't want to ruin either the prey or the predator's day or plans. Yeah, she must have just slunk off into the riverbed as soon as she saw that hyena while we were looping ahead. So I think it's going to be near and behind her. So let's continue and see what else we can find. We were lucky today. I thought we were going to get drenched. There's quite a lot of rain in the area. We got lucky. We'll see. Turned out to be a wonderful safari, and quite happy we decided to ditch the cheetah and head off in search of something else, because we got some great moments with that beautiful Luluka. What's the time? I'm guessing Taylor may have ready. She'll need to be out the reserve soon, so it'll just be Tristan and I for the last half an hour of the safari, I'm guessing. It would have been quite a mission for Taylor to have to pick up a ranger from a gate and then continue with her safari. So we rather just suggested she throw in the towel half an hour early rather than having to do a massive trek to pick up a ranger. askari, as they're called in Kenya. We need to have askaris on our vehicle if we're out after.
Well, unfortunately, Scotty's got a couple of gremlins that are raiding his vehicle at the moment, so back with us. And it seems as though our little baby hippo has graduated from small pond to big pond. There you see its little head poking up over the back of mom. So it's now been moved from that little waterhole behind, maybe with the presence of Hosanna overnight and this morning, that she decided, no, it's going to be safer if I move into the main dam, into this corner here where the leopard can't get as close as what it was yesterday, and can then sort of settle down and have a little look. So it's in the big dam now, in the big wide world, and it's going to have to be very careful of Vladimir, because Vlad will be something that would go after a baby hippo if it gets the chance. You also find that if any other males arrive, unfortunately, they'll also sometimes kill hippos. And I think probably one of the most traumatic sightings regarding hippos was here at Chitwa Dam. We had a situation where we watched a birth of a hippo from one of the rooms. It was amazing to watch this little hippo being born, and we saw the whole process of the mother going into kind of labor and the little one coming out, and it was just really a magical thing to see, and super interesting because it was also amazing to watch the terrapins and the catfish feeding off all of the afterbirth. And then she kind of had this little baby, and we had guests here that saw the birth as well with us, and they watched this whole process because it was outside of their room. And then what happened was a new male arrived, and this incredible hippo fight ensued over the next little bit in this area, and the water was turned red as these two male hippos fought and fought and fought, and clearly the older male was evicted by the newer male and the new arrival, and he unfortunately then killed this hippo. And this poor guest that had been here, their friends were coming and they had told them that there's this little baby hippo, they must look out for it. And the day that they arrived, as they arrived, this male was tossing the baby hippo around, and it unfortunately punctured its stomach, and it was just made a real mess of this little hippo. It was really quite horrible to watch, but it then kind of died obviously from its injuries, and mom lay there with this little carcass for quite some time. It was really quite a sad story to watch, but it just goes to show what was incredible is the sheer power of a male hippo. The way that he threw that little baby around was just really quite something. Senzo, if I can ask you, I know the little baby is there and it's cute, but on the other side of the dam is just the most ridiculous light, and a whole bunch of impalas that are just filing along the edge of the waterhole. It is absolutely magical in terms of the colors. It's this bright orange effect, and it almost looks like they're walking on water, doesn't it? It looks as though they're kind of going across the water, and almost like a wetland as they move along there. It is just absolutely beautiful view of Chitwa Dam from this angle in the late afternoon sun, and these impalas slowly coasting their way along the edge of the waterhole. Absolutely wonderful. Amazing how much they shine also in that kind of afternoon light. Their color really pops out, and they become vivid and bright, and really very, very pretty animals. There's some more joining from the top, and I wonder where they're going. They almost look like they're going actually towards the lodge. I think they're drinking on the right-hand side. They're all kind of lining up on that side, and clever for them to drink there rather than where we are, because obviously there's a crocodile lurking on this side, and that's not going to work very well at all. But isn't that a beautiful image? It doesn't really look like the Sabi Sands, does it? That almost looks like part of another reserve. It reminds me of other areas in the world that have a lot more water. It almost looks a bit Zambia-like, other than obviously the trees are not the right ones, but it is very, very pretty, and it doesn't, like I say, look at all Sabi Sands like as they kind of move around and drink. Very cool. Right, now while I gaze upon my impalas who are slowly drifting around the water, I believe Taylor McCurdy decided to take a road less travelled and has found herself staring at a bunch of big city lights rather than the beautiful open plains of the Masai Mara.
Welcome to Taylor's Talek town tour. Everybody, hands out for alliteration. Now, we speak about Talek quite often, and this is my home. I am home. I cannot wait. I love it here. Look at all the beautiful lights, and pretty much wherever we go, and all down these little streets, because there are little streets on dirt roads, basically has got all these flashing lights, which is really, really quite cool. And that's just one of the marvelous places. I've been there before. It's very nice inside, all white tiling, white leather couches, beautiful blue neon lights behind all the different things inside there. It is very, very cool, and the town is bustling this evening. There are people walking around still, the dogs are out, they're all trotting about, finding ladies, I suppose. It's probably what they're looking for. I wish I could move around though and show you some of the other parts, but unfortunately there's plenty of Talek gremlins around here that attack us and then make us lose picture. But it's a beautiful spot. And the people are so friendly and so welcoming, and sometimes you can hear, if you listen very carefully, you can hear people calling my name. Can I hear anyone? Oh, hello! It's nice to see you again. I'm just joking. That's Manu. Okay, I'm going to go home now, but I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe one day we'll try and do a proper Talek tour through here. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to send you back across to South Africa, and I'm pretty sure that Tristan is jealous and wishing he was in our spot.
Well, I always wish I'm around when Taylor Poppy PJ Powers McCurdy is on tour. I believe the fans flock from all kinds of destinations to see her shaking her golden locks and singing her songs as she goes along. Generally, wherever she goes, the party is there. So I'm pretty sure the town of Talek has got no idea what's about to hit it. And while they all think they're waving to a friendly little girl from South Africa, she's about to prove them wrong as to just how much of a party she can be. I think it's going to be quite entertaining. I'm sure Manu's in for a good time and is definitely going to have a good laugh as she negotiates the town of Talek. And I do wish I was there. It would be very fun, actually, to be with Taylor in the middle of Africa. I feel like we would have a really good laugh as we went. But you can see the sun is now setting on Djuma, a little bit later than what the Mara sunset is, and it's really a beautiful spot just to watch the sun go down. I could spend hours in this spot just watching things going on. I remember when I was a guide at Chitwa, often, if I wasn't driving guests, this is where I used to come and sit in the afternoons. It was just for the sake of kind of having a little bit of downtime. I used to walk from the lodge and then just walk onto the dam wall here and watch the hippos and the crocs, and often ellies would come through and watch the sunset. It really was a fantastic way to spend an afternoon, just to recuperate and kind of take in the beauty of the world, and not in a working capacity, because it's a different thing when you just sit here for yourself. There goes a few hardy-dars through our sunset, noisy hardy-dars by the sounds of things, and off they go. Now on the other side of the, well, what would we call it? The other orientation of my vehicle. So not on the western side where the sun is setting, but on the eastern side there is another beautiful sight to be had from a different type of object in the sky, and that is the beautiful moon. So there's a moonrise. It's not quite full moon just yet, and I really want to come to Chitwa Dam the next time it's absolutely full, because it rises perfectly over the dam and you get this massive orange ball that kind of just comes up over the water. But look at how nice the moon looks this afternoon. Isn't that beautiful? It's glowing. There's still enough light that it's quite white against a blue sky, and it really is as pretty as you can imagine. Nice just to sit here and be able to see both at the same time, isn't it? It's always good when we can see both of these things. And I know it's not animals and whatever, but it's always good to gaze upon these sort of objects and appreciate the beauty of all the other things that are around us, and particularly things that we don't understand very much of, and space and the things floating in it are definitely one of those things. What you can also see is just how quickly the moon rises. So we always think that these things are slow processes, but the sun sets very fast in Africa, and well, the moon, as you can see, is going very quickly as well. There's the odd bird that's flying past. Those are mostly swallows and swifts that are around. There's a couple of little swifts that are flying around as well. Rita, you say you thought birds always sleep before sunset. Well, I mean, they do, a lot of them. It depends on the type of bird, obviously. Now is the time that nightjars and owls are all waking up. But there are some birds that will definitely be sleeping, yes. And they are all now starting to make their way to their roosting points or their nest sites for the evening. And that's why we're hearing a lot of calling and a lot of movement now. It's the last bit of light, and so everybody's now going in and tucking themselves up. We probably still have, I would say, another 10 to 15 minutes of actual light where it's still light enough to fly around and for us to see what's going on. So even though the sun is setting, it's still time for them to get back to wherever they're going to be roosting and for them to position themselves for the night time of rest. So even though it is getting darker, there still is time for them. Right, I think that concludes our afternoon at Chitwa Dam. I think we're going to start heading slowly back to Djuma in the hope that maybe we can bump into something along the way. Maybe what we'll do is just take a different route out. Normally we go back up north away from the dam, but I think let's go along the southern side this time, and we'll check little Gowrie sort of Chitwa cut line. See, maybe, just maybe, there isn't a sort of sign of maybe one of the other leopards around. I wonder where Tumba went. Nobody's, I think, picked up any sign of Tumba since we saw him last. We left him by himself close to the lodge, and I think since then I don't think anyone's actually seen him. So maybe we'll go and just take a little loop around that area. You never know, we could get lucky and we might be able to find him somewhere in this general vicinity. Little crocs have gone into the water for the night. They've gone towards where Mom is. I was trying to see if they were going to come up near Mom. It would have been really cool just to kind of have little crocodiles kind of floating around on top of Mom's head. I've always wanted to see that, but unfortunately no sign of the little ones actually next to Mom. Right, now while I go and get back towards Djuma and slowly start to head homeward bound, I believe Scotty D is still driving around. At least he is not in the town of Talek, but is rather in the beautiful plains of East Africa.
Well, happy you got some views of the beautiful, almost full moon. It really is wonderful being out here when the moon is so big and bright. You can literally drive without your headlights on. It's difficult for you to see the road because of the camera settings, but I can very clearly see where the roadway is ahead of us here, driving with absolutely no lights. And I'm also getting blinded by the presenter light that's shining into my face, which isn't obviously helping the deal, but it's testament to how bright it actually is. What is this? Hyena. Let's have a quick squiz at the old sleepy hyena here. It's right on the left a bit. There. If you just zoom in, you'll a little bit to the right. That little dark blob. There we go. It's a very windy evening here, and good conditions for any predators looking for a meal. This guy seems to be taking it easy for now. Hi Philip, you'd like to know which predator gets the most blame for killing livestock. I guess it all depends on whether it's, cows will generally mainly be killed by lions. Donkeys and goats can be killed by hyena, and goats and sheep, I guess sheep as well, can all be killed by leopard. So I guess it all depends on the individual area. If one leopard that's living in an area outside the reserve learns the ways of getting easy domestic livestock, then it could be a problem just for that area. And then you may find a problem lion in another area that realizes that cows are an easy meal. So I think it's going to be a combination of all three of the latter, lion, leopard, and hyena, that cause trouble with livestock. But it's all going to depend on the individual village and or area, and I don't have any exact stats on that. Cows, because they're big, it's going to be mainly lion. Where I used to work in Samburu, there's not a high density of lions at the moment, or there's not as many lions as there used to be, and I think that's allowed the leopards' numbers to increase greatly. And the local farmers up there in Samburu in northern Kenya, it's almost entirely leopard and hyena that cause trouble with their livestock. remember seeing this poor donkey that had been attacked by a hyena. It wasn't in a good state. So, what else will we be able to find you this evening? Maybe some bat-eared fox, that would be nice. Maybe a zorilla, aardvark. Sorry, I didn't get your name, but you know who you are. You'd like to know if there's anywhere in the park where you get tree and or rock hyrax. And yes, actually at the camp we're staying at, you get both the tree hyrax, which is predominantly nocturnal, as well as it's called a bush hyrax, a yellow spotted bush hyrax, which is very similar to a rock hyrax, but they live more in trees. And their yellow spots are not very bright nor yellow. I haven't seen them. Nikki, my girlfriend, seems to think she can work out the yellow spots in them, but I've yet to be able to see them, so probably not the best name. But you do get two types of hyrax here, and there may even be some parts of the park where you do get rock hyrax. I just haven't seen them personally. There's quite a few canoes around us. I'm just going to switch off the lights as we drive through them. There we go. Always got to be careful when you're driving through large herds like this that you're not driving past a lion who could be sneaking up on them. And as while we try and navigate our way through the darkness and a large herd of wildebeest, we're going to send you back to Tristan in daylight.
I didn't realize VM was obstructing Scott's path home. I thought VM was here in Djuma and kind of taking it easy. VM's been tinkering on his vehicle, so maybe his vehicle is now into a rocket ship and he's now jet propelled himself all the way to the Masai Mara to go say hello to Scotty. But anyway, hopefully Scott does manage to negotiate his wildebeest. That was the point of the story, is hopefully he'll get home just fine. I'm sure he will. He's a big enough, strong enough lad to negotiate through there. Not his first rodeo through the wildebeest. We haven't gotten very far. I've been too busy looking at all the beautiful sights around here and looking at trees and just really kind of going very slowly home. I don't know why. I'm just in one of those moods this afternoon where it's a reflective mood and I kind of feel like just taking it very easy and not really rushing around too much, which is quite nice. Now earlier I was talking about Shadow and I believe my audio disappeared and that you wanted to hear about Shadow and what I had to say. So no sign of Shadow herself, just tracks for her on Little Gari, but her cub was seen this afternoon. So for those of you that like to follow Shadow and the cub and want to know if the cub is alright, cub is absolutely fine, running around on Little Gari and close to the Mulawati, not too far south actually from Twin Dams area, so maybe tomorrow morning we get lucky. Also Hosanna is not too far from there. The morning for leopards to be coming onto our side and moving towards Twin Dams. It's been long overdue that we've had a spotty cat at Twin Dams, so hopefully that will be the case and they will move into that area. But it's good to hear that the little cub is doing well, and apparently a little bit shy with the vehicles. I don't really like too much of the attention by itself without mom, but still is around and moving and doing its thing, which is really good news. It's encouraging and hopefully will mean that there will be a few more sightings of her over the next few days. If she's already just south of the boundary, hopefully that means she'll bring her a little bit further north towards our side. But now I'm going to just slowly talking about Twin Dams, meander past that area. I think that's where I'm going to head and where I'm going to go and check around. Riti, yes, there is a change in behavior between the animals over full moon and new moon. New moon, you find the cats far more aggressive in terms of their hunting. They tend to hunt a lot more than what they do on full moon. Full moon they will hunt if they can, but it's a lot harder for them because it's much brighter and therefore it's difficult for them to be able to go unnoticed. Whereas in new moon it's dark, it's dingy, perfect conditions for a predator to go hunting. And you'll find that I find in full moon that the elephants go absolutely crazy. They tend to be a lot more active at night and far more docile during the day. You tend to find big groupings of elephants at night moving around. They often are quite vocal. I mean, this is not scientifically proven, it's just what I have observed over the years here in the Sabi Sands. I find that over full moon periods, lots of activity from elephants at night. You'll also find other animals that are generally not very active, like wild dogs, moving big distances at night and actually even hunting at night, because at the end of the day they can see what's going on and therefore can travel a lot further. So you tend to find predators like lions, leopards, hyenas a lot more restricted in the full moon period, whereas things like cheetah, wild dogs, it opens up a new world for them where they can hunt, particularly in the summer months when it's hot. At night, if it's bright with a full moon, at least they can use those kind of cooler conditions in order to be able to move around. So definitely is a change in behavior between full and new moon. Nice to see the full moon though. The full moon is always a beautiful thing to see, and like I say, I think tomorrow afternoon or the next afternoon is full moon proper, and if it is tomorrow afternoon, then I want to be at Chitwa Dam just for that moonrise, because I think it will be absolutely spectacular to watch it just coming over, and so going from one big orange ball in the form of the sun to a big orange ball in the form of a moon coming over the top of that dam will just be the most epic thing to see and just exquisite thing. So that's where I'm going to head tomorrow afternoon, I think, and it should be a really pretty one. Now there's tracks for wild dogs all over Gowrie Main, and it's from yesterday, I believe, the guys saw while we were sitting with Hosanna and the Hippo. Apparently the wild dogs were spotted and seen in the area running around Gowrie Main, so they're not fresh tracks, but if you're wondering which dogs it was the 3 wild dogs. So the 3 of them apparently have been moving around and walking around in this area. I wonder where Shadow is though. It's actually just there are tracks for her but no sign of her. I wonder if she maybe didn't come outside. It might be worth actually checking Twin Dams. I know she does spend time in the Mulawati and moves around here, and she's obviously a cat that, as her name suggests, can be a little bit tough to actually find, and so maybe she's hanging around. It'll be good to see. But I want to show you just how difficult it can be at this time of the day to spot things. Now, sitting over there, just not too far from us, is a very, very large antelope, but in this light it becomes almost impossible to pick up that antelope. So I don't know if you can see it there. It's very tough to see. In fact, I've almost lost it now. But behind those bushes is a large waterbuck. There you can see its little white ring just poking out through the thickets, and so it shows you that even in this light, prey animals also camouflage incredibly well, and it's why it's very difficult to see things like leopard, and why leopard do start hunting at this time. So they will start hunting even in dusk because of that. If a waterbuck is camouflaging that well in this kind of dingy light, you can bet your bottom dollar that a leopard is even better at doing it. So it's amazing just to kind of see, and it just goes to show that how easy it is to be able to walk past and miss, or drive past and miss animals. But nice to see anyway. It's a beautiful example of a waterbuck, got nice horns and hanging around because, well, we're at Twin Dam's Baboon Pan area and it's the perfect place for a waterbuck to be. Very nice. You can also see some beautiful colors in the sky as well. Lovely evening. Compared to what we had today, it just doesn't feel like we're even in the same sort of day at all. It feels as though yesterday kind of was the grey day, which was this morning, and it's now a lot more sort of warm and better. Palin, you're asking how many generations would it take for normal dogs or domestic dogs to be considered a wild dog? I don't know. I feel like if it's a dog that is out and it was able to survive in an area like this and was able to breed and form sort of a pack and move around like that, then I suppose we could consider it a wild dog. But would we consider it a wild dog, or would we consider it a stray dog? I don't really know. Obviously, of course, wild dogs are not domesticated dogs that have become wild dogs. They are their own kind of species and have always existed in these areas. But it is an interesting question, and I don't know. I suppose we'd call them stray dogs, or lost dogs, maybe. Not wild dogs, but theoretically, if they can survive in an area like this, they're not being killed by all kinds of other things, and they're breeding, then theoretically they've populated an area and they are living wild and are doing their own thing and their own choices at their own time. So I suppose that would constitute wild, or does it? I don't know. I think there's a situation where it's difficult to know, really, but we'll refer to them probably as lost dogs. Now, what does happen, and the only time we do see domestic dogs out here is when we find rabid dogs, and rabid dogs genuinely are lost. Unfortunately, what happens with them is that their ability to find home completely goes out the window when rabies kicks in. It happens because the rabies virus is affecting the brain, and so you get a situation where you find that the poor animal actually can't find its way home, and it goes deeper and deeper into these wilderness areas and unfortunately gets lost. It's a horrible thing to think about. It's almost like dementia in dogs, and they just don't know where they are and what they're doing, and they end up in a situation where they kind of have to try and find home, and they just end up getting really lost and then killed by a number of predators, which is obviously dangerous for the area. And it's why rabid dogs are such a problem, is because they do distribute so far as they get more and more confused, so they head more and more sort of away. Also, the rabies virus, they want to drink water a lot, and so they're actively trying to search for water points to be able to get, and that also draws them away from their homes and into other areas where they don't really know where they are, and then, like I say, the confusion sets in and they just keep going away and away and away. So not very nice at all. It's a horrible thing for a dog to experience. Right, onward and forward. Let's see if we can get a little last minute leopard somewhere in this area. The man of the moment, Scotty D, who's had all the luck this afternoon and has managed to find everything. Well, I hope he's got one more little trick up his sleeve before the end of show.
Come on, Tristan, go find that last minute leopard. That would be a wonderful way to finish off what's been a great day out on safari, I think it's fair to say. Lots of cool stuff's been seen, both on the sunrise and the sunset safari. And who knows what tomorrow will hold. Like I said a bit earlier, I'm really looking forward to working this area with Taylor tomorrow. And possibly, if the situation's right, getting both vehicles into one sighting. Thank you very much to Chris Rogue. Good to hear your name again, and wonderful to hear the information that you've provided us with, saying that Leluka, the leopard we were with earlier, was born in June in 2015. Very, very useful information. She did look like a young lady, and she certainly is very, very relaxed with the vehicle, so good prospects for future viewing with her. Not all leopard will be as relaxed as she was with the vehicle, so that's a good thing to know, and good to know where we need to keep a beady eye out for her now that we've got an idea that she likes to work that riverbed. I'm sure she stays almost exclusively up and down that riverbed because there's good cover and at least one or two trees for her to jump up if in case she gets spooked by the old lions. I'd just love to know what that pounce would have looked like, how close she got, how high she went into the air. We saw nothing. That's the way it goes. Would have been a first for me. I've never seen a leopard, at least that my faulty memory can remind me of. Never seen a leopard really leaping up after prey like it did there. Hello, Butner. You'd like to know if we get any fennec foxes in Djuma or the Mara, and no, we don't. Those are strictly desert dwelling. I'm not sure exactly what deserts they dwell in, but I'm fairly certain they live in deserts. Tiny, tiny little foxes. I think it's possibly the smallest. The smallest we get is the bat-eared fox, which is, you could say, equally cute as the fennec fox. But no, I've never seen one, and I'm not sure exactly where they occur, but I'm fairly certain it's desert environments. Come on, bat-eared fox, pop up. There's not many, but they are around here. I've seen some just behind where we are now. No joy this evening though, but there's definitely some that live out here. So, Tristan's got 5 minutes to find a leopard, and I've got 5 minutes to find a bat-eared fox. Let's see who comes out on top. It's going to be a major challenge for both of us, but at least we've got something to work towards now. Ah, well, Tristan's found something else with spots, which I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing. Goodbye.
It's not our last minute leopard, but we'll take our last minute hyenas, because there's not just one, there is another one slowly approaching from behind. There they come, slowly but surely towards us. And I wonder if this is going to be that band of 4 that we keep seeing together. I don't know if it is. It seems like just the 2 of them, and they're now out on their evening patrol. You can see it's time to start moving. The sun is setting, it's cooler, and well, these guys are on the move to try and see if they can find something. I think they're going to probably head towards Twin Dams and go down that area and have a drink, maybe onto Little Gari, and go and cause a bit of trouble with all the leopards that are down that side. That's a hyena's favorite thing to do. I feel like that's what if you had to ask a hyena, if you had to interview them, what is a hobby, they would say, my hobby is to go and cause trouble with the local population of leopard. That's what I feel like they would do. But you can see they are in need of a meal, both of these individuals. They're looking as though they could do with something, and so now it's time to get out there and try and find and rob and steal and maim and kill whatever that they can. And I say it in jest because a lot of people unfortunately give hyenas a bad rep, and or bad rap should we say, and they're actually not really that bad at all. They're incredibly intelligent animals. They're one of my favorites out here. I could spend a lot of time with hyenas. I really do enjoy them. I find them really entertaining, and they are full of life and full of intelligence, and anything that's intelligent is always worth following around. So they're not really these bloodthirsty animals, but they do a lot of that in this area, a lot of stealing. And oh, very clever, Palin. You're saying that the hyenas have had the last laugh today. So there we go. That can be our catch line. So it's last minute leopard and last laugh of the hyenas, depending on which ones we find. So maybe the hyenas will lead us to a last minute leopard. How about that? That sounds like a good idea. I would certainly enjoy that, but I don't think so. I mean, we've just driven this road, no sign of any leopard here, and these guys, it's typical behavior for them is to go on a little evening patrol and walk around and try and kind of find things. And it's amazing in the mornings when you come out here and you just see how many tracks there are for hyenas. You cannot drive a road without one of these guys walking on it the night before. It's incredible to see how much they actually cover and how much distance they cover in a single night. It really is amazing. So I think these guys are just only getting started, and they should probably have a situation where they're going to be fairly busy through the evening. Quite cool to follow them around. I like following hyenas. It's not something that people do often. People often will kind of see a hyena, watch it walk past and leave it and let it go, but I actually enjoy it. I think it's quite fun, and I can tell you that hyenas have led me to some very interesting things before. It's often, if you follow them around for long enough, you get some amazing sightings. I've been led to lions, to leopards, to all kinds of interesting other animals. Pokemon, yes, it is true. Hyenas will bite through bones. It obviously depends on the size of the bone. They're not going to be able to crunch through a tibia or a fibia of a elephant, but they can go through quite thick bones. I've seen them crunching through bones, leg bones of a buffalo, which is obviously quite a big thing, and gnawing on those. And so they have incredible jaw strength. In fact, they have the most powerful jaw strength of all of our land-based predators. The crocodile has more powerful jaws, but that's only in closing, not opening. But the hyenas do have incredible jaw strength and a lot of pressure that gets exerted through massive muscles that are attached to a big crest bone on top of their head. So really are incredibly powerful animals. Now, unfortunately, it is that time of the evening as our hyenas slowly drift off down the road. It seems fitting that that will be our last view as they slowly coast off, not into the sunset, but into the night. And like I say, it is time for us to turn the opposite way and start heading back home. Hopefully Taylor McCurdy has found her way back home and is not still stuck in the village of Talek, and even if she is, I'm sure she'll turn it into some fun. But from Taylor, Scott, myself, Senzo, cameraman in the Mara, Kirsten FC, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Safari.